My earliest memories are being in the kitchen with my mother and all the women in my life at that time, which would have been my grandmothers and my aunts and my older sisters. I have two. They all love to cook and to be in the kitchen and to share, recipes that had been handed down from mother, daughter, grandmother to granddaughter, and to, feed their families from making homemade bread or desserts, sauces, soup stocks. Most of the women in my family raised gardens, and they also foraged for, different varieties of mushrooms, wild asparagus. We would go berry picking. A lot of different fruit trees would grow on our farm, so we would go and pick them, specifically pears and apricots. And I just remember, most of our gatherings were all around food. Food is, something that we need to nourish ourselves with, but it also is a love language. It's something that we share with our family and our friends and the people that we care about. For me, I decided that later in life, about 10 years ago, that I wanted to become a chef. I had always thought of it. I'd always had a desire to do so. I have always cooked from scratch in my kitchen, and, fixed different favorite treats of family members or friends and things like that. And I'm self-taught. I've never been formally trained. My desire is to be formally trained, and I've always dreamed of going to Cordon Bleu, especially the last 10 years. But I had not pursued it. We all have the language of maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm going beyond my boundaries where I should be, or my comfort zone. And what I realized, I had a really good friend say to me, well, if you could go anywhere that you wanted to go, where would it be? And again, of course, it was Cordon Bleu. However, my friend also asked a very difficult question: what's holding you back? And I had to give it a lot of thought. And the most uncomfortable answer: me. I was holding me back. So around this same time this conversation took place, this person also forwarded me the link for your 125th anniversary for this competition. And I decided that I was going to embrace it, and I would follow through, and I would make an entry to compete and make this video. I currently am in Anchorage, Alaska. My profession is as a chef. I work for a fly fishing lodge in the wilderness. I cook for guests each day. All of our courses are plated, and from the morning meal until at night we have an hors d'oeuvre hour, we have a dinner, and then we have a plated dessert. I've had a lot of challenges. Each year I have to come up with a new menu and new items, and so I've had to really embrace learning. And I discovered that I love learning, and what I do know, I know well, but it's just one little tiny piece of sand on a beach, and I just want to know about the other sand. I want to learn as much as I can, and I want to share it with others and bring joy to them. At the end of the day, our guests can have a really bad fishing day, but the food is what they're going to remember at the end of the day. If they have a bad meal, probably aren't going to want to come to too many more. So I want to make food that they are going to love, and I want to have a new and exciting menu every year, and I want to continue learning, and I want to share that joy and passion with other people who also enjoy it. So for today, I'm going to present you with sockeye salmon from Alaska, from the Copper River. My name is Dawn Ray, and I'm going to prepare this for you. Very first thing we're going to do is we're going to add shallots and some fresh garlic to our pan. I have some olive oil that's heated, and this is going to be the basis of our beurre blanc. Normally we could strain this mixture when we're finished. However, I am not going to. I like the texture of it and the coarseness of the shallots and the garlic and the mixture as well. I am now going to add just a little bit of my thyme and my lavender to the garlic that's sauteed. And I'm just going to saute it until it just starts to change color and the shallot starts to look just a little translucent. In the meantime, I'm going to add some white wine vinegar. I'm also going to add a healthy portion of white wine. I'm going to let that reduce. While we wait on our mixture to reduce, I'll tell you some stories about my family and about cooking. Many years ago, my sister Diane, which is my next oldest sister, she started a group called the Hoorahs. My mother's favorite saying was hoorah. How she came by this was that my mom loves Al Pacino. I can't even say it, Al Pacino. And anyway, she watched the movie called Scent of a Woman, and in that he is a military veteran, and his favorite phrase is hoorah. And so my sister decided that we would call ourselves the Hoorahs. My mother currently is 92 years old and lives with my sister, and or one of my sisters, I should say. And so on these trips, we would go for a weekend, sometimes 3 and 4 days. And it would be my mom and I, my sisters, my nieces, and my grandnieces. And so my mom would usually teach us something. Sometimes we've already learned it, but we would relearn it. And we would teach our nieces and our grandnieces. We had such fun doing this. And the one particular instance, and I'm going to show you a picture at the very end of us, we all brought a rolling pin. We were in our pajamas. My mom was drinking out of a wine glass, but she was drinking water because she doesn't drink. And she was doing her Julia Child's version of making homemade noodles. And so thus we started that. So each one of us had a bowl in front of us and our little flour and our egg yolks and our water. And this is what we did. And the next day, following this, she would make this meal for us. She would make beef and noodles or chicken and noodles, depending on what our preference was. And we would all sit down and enjoy this meal together. But on this one very special occasion, we were in northern Minnesota, this really old farmhouse. It was really cool. And it was like out in the middle of nowhere, and all of all the women were there, and we actually took a picture. And that picture I'm going to share with you at the very end of this. And I just have such good memories of that. But I so want to share that joy, the joy I have of being in the kitchen and from getting my ingredients and the planning and the organizing to implementing and cooking and creating and then serving it and giving that joy. It's a gift that we give of ourselves. And again, I so want to share that. I want to share it, my passion of cooking, and with anyone that I can. I'm going to add the salmon. We've put fresh rosemary and kosher salt and coarse ground pepper. And while we start to plate, we'll start with our sauce. We are going to add a little lemon zest. I'm just going to put it in just on the top. And then when we plate it, we'll also give it just a little finishing touch of it. So we'll use our plating sauce first. And I generally put around just 1 good to 2 good tablespoons of sauce. Sometimes I serve this with different grains or a pasta that I've made, but today it's just going to be the vegetables and the salmon. Next, we're going to add our salmon fillet. Shut off the heat. And for a little more color, I have some shaved yellow summer squash that we are also going to add into the mix. All right. I have a little bouquet of sunflower sprouts that we are going to add, and finish off with our rosemary. And this is my plate that I am presenting to you today. Again, it is Alaska sockeye salmon. It's caught from the Copper River. It is last season's catch. It is from the freezer. It's still delicious goodness. The plating sauce is my version of a beurre blanc. It's a little bit different. I opted not to strain it and to keep the shallots and the garlic that I freshly cut this morning in it because I like the flavor of them and the texture of them. I added a little lemon zest just to give it a little bit more color in the sauce at the very end. Plus, with the salmon, it pairs nicely. For the herbs in it, it has a little bit of lavender and fresh thyme and rosemary in it. The plating vegetables are, I have fresh sunflower sprouts that are freshly grown, pea pods. Again, I shelled some and I've kept some in the pot, some shaved carrot and some asparagus. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you today and to share my passion for cooking and my journey in becoming a chef. Thank you for your time and your consideration. Sincerely.